Hey everybody, how you going? Just a quick introduction, seeing this is my first video. I just want to let you know, I am, that's the name I go by on the internet. I hope you like it, I enjoy it, and I'm, as of now, a horror story narrator. I'll narrate anything from creepy true recollections, to creepy pastas, to, I don't know, maybe some occasional special videos on special topics and stuff like that. I'm sorry if the audio quality in this video is bad. At the moment, my microphone is still shipping on its way. I've ordered a Blue Yeti Pro. I hope it does a good job. It's got good reviews and it's quite an expensive microphone, so I hope for it to perform. But at the moment, I'm just using a normal high definition gaming mic. It's not atrocious, but it's nowhere near production value of obviously the Blue Yeti that I have coming in, or a microphone close to that, like an Audio Technica or a Snowball or any of those studio mics for that matter. If you want to check out who wrote the story today, the link will be in the description. Also, a link will be to the subreddit No Sleep, which is where I'm getting most of my stories off to narrate on this channel. Anyway, without further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoy your stay, even if this is your first and last video, or you stay with me for the ride. Hope you enjoy it, and I hope to hear some of your support from this. Good or bad, like or dislike, it's up to you. It's your opinion in the end of the day. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and on to the story. The story is uploaded by user Charlie Keegan. The title is "There's Something Wrong with My Neighbor." This story so far is believed to be true. I'm writing this because the police won't listen. My ex won't listen to me. My mom won't listen to me. No one believes me. I hope you will. A few months ago, a group of squatters moved into the backyard next door. One day the man who lived there, my neighbor, left for a few days. I didn't know the guy. I'm a socially awkward college student. I don't talk to neighbors, but I see him sometimes with a fence post, working on some sort of project. I think he has a maintenance job or something, taking care of different properties around town. I don't know, but he's gone a lot. Sometimes for a day, sometimes for weeks. That day it wasn't 30 minutes after I watched him back his truck and trailer out of his garage and drive it home, that I noticed a huge caravan of homeless people coming down my alleyway. Bikes with old baby trailers full of cans, all wearing old sports jerseys and ripped up t-shirts. This is pretty normal, and most are good people just looking for a shortcut through town. However, they took a hard right, stepped through the gate to this guy's backyard, like they owned the place. I live in a small residential area, packed with apartments and houses. My apartment is down what can only be called an alley. I sit directly between another small house, turned apartment complex, and the guy's house. It's quiet, even though I'm in a college town. That first night was not quiet. I usually sleep with my windows open in the summer, but I had to shut my place up tight when I heard them. They were doing some sort of chanting, and they lit a fire, a big fire. I thought they were going to burn down the neighborhood. It got so big, I peeked out of my window trying to see what they were doing through the fence. All I saw was the group, hand in hand, around the fire, doing that chanting again. I can't explain it. It sounded like that Mongolian throat singing, but a lot sharper, if that makes any sense at all. That's when I smelled that, well, what I thought was meth, to be honest. I grew up in a pretty shady area, so I know what it smells like. Burnt rubber mixed with chemical closet in your shitty high school chemistry lab. Cooking it smells like dirty diapers. At least they weren't cooking. Well, I tried to sleep. I never was able to. The next few days were different. No chanting, and no burnt rubber either. Only a small fire and some talking until around 11, and then they quieted down. I was relieved, to say the least. I thought about calling the police, but the idea of having to talk to a bunch of big, burly, intimidating strangers and possibly pissing off a group of chanting, meth-smoking squatters put me on the straight upside of that idea. I figured I wouldn't tell the owner of the place for the exact same reason. I just kept wondering, what if he knows? What if they're friends of his? As always, I figured silence was the best policy. 3 days later, when I got up and started making breakfast, I looked out the window and they were gone. Vanished. It was like they were never even there. I even looked over the fence in the fire pit, and there was no ash. It was like it was brand new. It wasn't an hour later that the guy who owned the place came back. I thought this was really weird. How do they know? Are they friends of his? Do they have some sort of deal going on? When he goes away, they get to sleep in his backyard? I don't know. I didn't want to ask. And sure as shit didn't want to dwell on this. I get bad anxiety, so I was pretty sure I was just working myself up over absolutely nothing. It was a weird one-off. They got lucky, left in the right time. They would never return. The next time the owner left, the caravan came even sooner. I swear the fire was 10 times bigger that time. The cycle continued. He left, they came, they left, he came. Fire the first night, silence the rest. Chanting only got worse. The only good part about it at the point was that I had an amusing story to tell at work. What's up with the squatters today? The other workers would say. I make jokes to myself, less terrified, so that's what I made this. A big joke, a weird, inexplicable thing that kept my coworker endlessly entertained, coming up with conspiracy about how I had me coat on my hands, an A coat for that matter. They were gonna pull a Jonestown and I'd be the one who had to call the cops. I laughed at work and it was the only thing I could do. I didn't laugh when I got home though. The reason I'm writing this, the reason I can't go back to my apartment is what happened the 10th night of one of the caravan's extended stays. I was sitting at my desk when I heard my neighbor's truck door slam. I jumped up, peeked out the window, barely opening the blinds. It was him, alright. It was getting dark, but I recognized him. He was burly, hard to miss. He looked tired, like he'd just got off a big job. I assumed, but he had a look of joy in his face too. Looking over the fence, my heart was pounding. He was about to open the gate. I knew they were still there. He would be walking right in on them. But when he opened the gate and stepped through, there was no yelling, no scared squatters sprinting away, jumping the fence, dragging tents and sleeping bags. I could see him through the fence. Squatters must have all been in their tents by now because all I could see was his silhouette in the warning light. He pranced on over to the first tent he saw, peeked into the rainfly. That much I could see. He started walking to his shop behind the bush that blocked my view of the rest of the yard. I heard him fumbling with his keys and creak for the old door. At this point, I thought my heart would explode. I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. All I could do was watch. My neighbor walked out of the shop holding something. I couldn't see what it was. It was long, like a broom, but as he walked more into the light, I could see he was holding the pole in one hand and a rope in the other. The rope ran down to the length of the pole and ended at the tip in what looked like a loop. I couldn't see it that well, but I knew what it was. Oh, it was a dog catcher's loop. He positioned himself so that he was standing on the other side of the tent, opposite to the only zip-up door.
Using the dog catcher's loop, he banged on the top of the tent, making the nylon squeal. The tent door all but flew open, and scared, bearded face poked out of the door. My neighbor looped the bearded guy's neck with the dog catcher's loop and just clinched it down tight. The bearded guy tried to scream, but the rope was too tight. He only managed a strained whimper that through my thin walls I could hear as if he was right next to me. The rest of the squatters heard the commotion and were already running, sprinting in the opposite direction as their friend. After my neighbor went behind the bushes and I heard the door to his shop slam, all I heard was rasps of terror, a generator turning on, and some mechanical noises emitting from the shop. The rasps of terror turned to screams. "What the hell are you doing?" "What do you want with me? Why are you doing this? What the fuck is that? Help me, someone, please!" I heard the homeless guy pleading for help. I never once heard my neighbor. All I heard was the running of the generator, the homeless guy going quiet, muffled screams, the generator chugging as if I was, or it was, I don't know, struggling. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. All I could figure was to run, so I did. I was so terrified I left my fucking phone. I didn't even think to call 911. The police station. I needed to get to the police station. The streets empty, save for a few cars going slow down the narrow city streets. I was running harder and longer than I ever had before. I didn't know I could run that fast, but somehow I was able to and got to the police station within 5 minutes, nearly busting the glass on the doors. I burst into the police station, panting and wailing that there was something wrong with my neighbor. After pulling their guns on me and calming down once they realized I was a victim and not out to hurt them, they brought me to the interrogation room. The town I live in is a college town, but it's small. I knew the cop sitting across from me. He pulled me over once for a busted taillight. "What's going on?" he said. I told him everything. The squatters, the fire, the chanting, the dog catcher's loop, the homeless guy. He looked straight at me. Expression never changed. The entire story. He spit out some sunflower seed shells into a paper cup and said, "Kid, I don't believe that. Mr. Lewis would do anything like that. I believe you're on drugs. You'd better get out of here before I have you locked up for public intoxication." He was so cold he stared right through me. He didn't say anything else. He just pointed to the door. As I walked out, everyone in the station had their eyes fixed on me. I could feel every set of eyes undressing me with their gaze. I ran some more once I got out of the station. A few cops stood on the steps watching me go. I ran even faster than the first time. There was a payphone on the corner of the block, probably the last one in existence, I would say. And lucky for me, I had some spare change. I didn't have my fucking phone, but I had a pocket full of change from doing laundry. The phone rang, and when my ex picked up, I told her, and she only said that, "You sound crazy. I think you've been taking some drugs." She sounded different, monotone, sort of. I hung up, then put in another coin and called my mother. "Honey, you sound crazy. When I came to visit, I talked with him, but Mr. Lewis would never hurt a fly. Have you been taking your medication, or have you been doing drugs?" I slammed the phone down and backed away from it. I turned and I looked all around me. Parked across the street from me was a police cruiser, an arm hanging out of the window, the glow of a cigarette lighting up the interior. I just ran some more. I decided, with no real plan, to walk the train tracks and maybe hop on a train. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't trust anybody. Nobody believes me. Nobody saw. I can only imagine what happened to that man. I think about his face every day. I don't want to forget it, and even if I did want it gone, I can't get the face out of my head. I'm writing this from the public library, 2 towns over, in their ancient boxy computer with shitty internet. Please, somebody help. I think I can see a cop car waiting outside. Please, I'm begging you. Don't let them take me. The librarian is looking at me funny now. I think it's time for me to leave.